Hello, welcome to the Hashaton channel. Today we're doing more Magic the Gathering content, and we're going to be taking a look at a commander deck that I've been working on, or have worked on, since the release of Aetherdrift, but I haven't been able to actually record the session covering the things. Plus, I have been messing around with Moxfield and adding tags to show and also find out how many of a certain type of effect and category that I want for said deck, because a lot of these effects overlap, so I can't just have a list of creatures only or a list of loot effects only, because given what this card does, you want as many discard effects as possible. Plus, you want to be discarding creatures, making copies of those creatures, and having them immediately affect the board when they enter the battlefield or when they attack or tap effects and whatnot. You want creatures to be doing something more than just being a 4/4 body. So let's get started. Here we go. We got Hashaton, Scarab's Fist. He's even though he's technically an Orzhov card, a white-black, he does have blue in his text box, meaning he is an Esper Commander. So Hashaton Scarab Fist is a 1/3 for white-black, and his text reads, whenever you discard a creature card, you may pay 2 and a blue. If you do, create a tap token that's a copy of that card, except it's a 4/4 black zombie. So like I said earlier, you want to be discarding a lot of creatures, value creatures that do stuff or have very powerful effects regardless of stats, because I have creatures that are bigger than 4/4s, but the fact that I could cheat them out for 3 mana, that's gonna like bypass the difference between the power toughness. Plus 4/4 is a pretty substantial body, and we can also, there's a few effects here that give them like flying and whatnot, so it's gonna be a little hard to block with the things we gonna make. Gorgeous foiling on this, though I do like the non-foil as well, just because you can see the sky better. It gets drowned out by the foiling, unfortunately, with how dark these are, but I do really like how this card is foiled. Plus I got him in a silly sleeve that gives it this dotted foil effect that I got from Daiso. But anyway, this is the commander, and we're gonna move on to the deck lists. So, given the nature that Hashaton requires you to discard creature cards, discarding creature cards to pay the 3 mana, 2 blue, to turn them into eternalized zombies, quote unquote, without having to exile them, which is kind of crazy actually. But also at the same time, kind of fair, because this is very reminiscent of, I'd say, older commander designs where they do the one thing instead of being the catch-all be-all, which is, I do have the alternate commander from the main commander from the deck that they appeared in, and like I was saying, this one does way too much, I'd say. But yeah, you're gonna see a lot of loot effects, meaning draw, discard. You can have, like, I'm gonna have pure discard as well in this. So here's the original commander from the precon that Hashaton came in. This is the non-foil version from the collector boosters. Emmet Noctimon's Will. Vigilance Menace 4/4. Whenever you attack, draw a card, then discard a card. That's the important part. Whenever you draw a card, zombies you control get +1/+1 till end of turn. Hashaton makes 4/4 zombies out of anything you discard, so that will work with this. But I'm not really too fond of this playstyle. Plus he costs a hefty 5 mana, so he has a home more so in the main deck than in the commander slot. Plus we're building around Hashaton himself, so it's just fitting that we have effects that work in tandem with his ability. He is also a 1/3, which he will survive a shock. He can block early, he does cost 2, but he will be prime for removal, especially if they see what you're trying to do. Onto the loot effects, there's a bunch, and a lot of them are pretty much on almost every, no, not every permanent type, but we have creatures, artifacts, spells. But let's go through the first pile I made here. Ghostly Pilferer. When it becomes untapped, you may pay 2 if you do draw a card, so he kind of acts like a... It's key to the city on a creature. This is the exact same effect for that, but there's a bunch more text. Let's put these two together, because these two are very powerful cards in this. So what makes Ghostly Pilferer a lot cooler is he has a sort of, not quite Mystic Remora, but he does have an effect where whenever an opponent casts a spell from anywhere other than their hand, draw a card. So if they cast from their graveyard, they cast from exile, as long as it's cast, obviously, you will draw a card. And the command zone counts as anywhere other than their hand, so that is a free draw if they cast their commander. And we want as much card draw as possible. What makes Ghostly Pilfer very strong in this is he has an effect where whenever you discard a card, oh no, you may discard a card, this is at instant speed. It makes it unblockable for a turn, which is fine. It kind of plays when you zombify this man into a 4/4, which he tends to hit really hard. But the ability to discard any number of cards for free and have the mana, like your leftover mana, to pay for the Eternalize cost that Hashaton has, this is absolutely nuts. Key to the City. I have categorized them by mana cost, but since we're talking about a similar effect, where when it becomes untapped, you may pay 2 to draw a card, exactly the same as this. Key to the City has another ability where discard a card for a tap, so you can only do it once per turn usually, and up to 1 target creature can't be blocked this turn. So you tend to want to do this for your cards, but obviously you can also use this to politics your way to assist another player to get in for damage by making them unblockable, but also fueling your zombified Eternalize engine. So that's very nice. I'm calling these my pure discard because it doesn't replace the card, like aside from looting where you draw first then discard, this is pure discard. So we got the Underworld Cookbook. This is just kind of nuts. For 1 mana, tap discard, and it also has a return from graveyard effect where or tap, sacrifice, return target creature card from your graveyard to your hand. So you want to be looping some creatures maybe, but the fact that you can tap to discard and it only costs 1 mana to drop very early on, that is very powerful. Underworld Cookbook is great. If it had red, we could add Asmo, but sadly we can't. But anyway, here we go. Pure discard again for 1 black zombie infestation. Discard 2 cards and create a 2/2 black zombie token. Discarding 2 kind of hurts sometimes because there are moments where I find myself not having enough cards in hand or not having the mana to cast, say, both. If I discard 2 creatures, I can only cast maybe 1. I can only not cast. I can only Eternalize one of them. But for this, at least it's discard 2 for free, which could also be very powerful. For creatures, we are at the loot phase. So Enclave Cryptologist. It's a level up creature where you can level it up for 1 in blue as a sorcery. At level 1, this is kind of all we need for the most part. Tap, draw, then discard a card. But say if we just need pure draw because we're running out of cards in hand, the level 3 could be important. It also only costs 1 mana for 0/1. You can also Eternalize this and it will still have the level up ability. So it could be a 4/4, but usually like having this drop down on turn 1 or something is very cool. Here's one of the new cards from Aetherdrift. So the disclaimer, most of these are cards from my personal collection, sans a few of the new ones. So Red 2 Mystic, this is a really cool one. Flying 2/1 for 2. Each creature card in your hand has cycling 1 blue. So cycling is you discard that card, draw a card. As far as I understand it, cycling does not go in the stack, so it can't be responded to. But since you discard a creature card, since the cycling is on the creature as an ability, you can then not reanimate, but Eternalize it with Hashaton if you have the mana to do so. So for 5, you draw a card, discard a card, discard the creature, and then you turn it into a zombified token. Red 2 Mystic. Very nice include in the deck. Let me just stack these. One of my favorites from M21. Obsessive Stitcher. A 0/3 for 3. 1 blue-black. Tap effect is loot, draw, and discard a card, but it also has a return from graveyard effect, which is pure reanimation. 2 blue-black, sacrifice Obsessive Stitcher, return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. So very nice. 0/3 doesn't matter. It's a nice body. It can block early on, but also it's mainly here for the loot, and the reanimation effect is a very nice bonus. speaking of loot, and also one of my favorite cards from M20 Standard, the Tomebound Lich, a 1/3 for 3. With Death Touch and Lifelink. The Death Touch gets a little annoying way back in the day. It could still be annoying now. Some people just refuse to block this dude. But the thing is, the Lifelink, if you happen to Eternalize this as a 4/4, the Lifelink could matter. Plus, the way his loot effect works is Homebound Lich needs to deal combat damage or the draw discard effect, but it also happens the moment it enters the battlefield. So you get one loot the moment this comes down, whether you cast it or Eternalize it. And if it hits someone for damage, which usually you get away with it a few times, given the Death Touch, maybe not so as if it's a 4/4, but as a 1/3 usually you can get away with a few loot effects with this guy. Plus the lifelink doesn't hurt because the problem with Hashaton is your tokens enter tap, so you can't block with the new guys. So having a bit of lifelink is very nice. Stonebound Lich is very good. Dreadwing Scavenger from Foundations. I believe I got this in the Starter Commander set. It is foil, but sadly these matte sleeves kind of ruin the foil effect, as you can see there. Kudos to the effectiveness of these matte sleeves though. Flying 2/2 for 3. Whenever this creature card enters or attacks, so it doesn't need to deal combat damage, you get to draw and discard. So this is easier, plus flying, so that's automatic evasion. Threshold, it gets +1/+1 and has Death Touch as long as there's 7 more cards in the graveyard. That is not hard to achieve, so it could be a 3/3 with Death Touch flying, or immediately a 4/4 that could possibly become a 5/5. We're on to the spells package. I have 4 honest to goodness spells. Most of these have a Matic discard effect, sans some certain conditions, so Card of Course, one of my favorites from Ixalan. Draw 2 cards, then discard a card unless you've attacked this turn. So, if you want some attack effects, like say with this guy or this guy, Unbound Lich or Dreadwing Scavenger, or if you want to have the loot option, you know, it's good. Options are good. Either draw 2, discard 1, or just straight up draw 2. So that is usually up to you. Sometimes it's at the very least draw 2, discard 1, but having the option to just purely keep 2, if you can, is nice. Frantic Search, one of my favorites as well. Draw 2 cards, discard 2 cards, then untap up to 3 lands. So it refunds itself mana-wise, plus the untapped lands will resolve before this triggers, as far as I understand it, because this needs to resolve first. So you will have guaranteed enough mana to Eternalize one of the cards. If it happens to be a creature, draw 2, discard 2 could hurt, but still, untapping 3 seems very nice. Compulsive Research. Target player draws 3, then that player discards 2, unless they discard a land card. So, 3 mana as well. Draw 3, that's very powerful. Discard 2 could hurt, but say if you're flooding with lands, it ends up being only a discard 1. The only thing I have problems with this is if you can only discard, or if you want to discard a creature but only have, say, a creature and a land card you can discard, you can't do both, because as far as I understand it, unless they discard a land, so you can't discard 2 and one of them happens to be a land. So sometimes you want to discard, because as many loot effects or discard effects are in this deck, I've found myself at times not having a single honest to goodness discard in a lot of games. That's a little annoying, but still, Compulsive Research is a very good card. If you look at some of the new cards from Tarkir Dragonstorm, there is a blue sorcery for the same cost. It's a rare. It does something similar, where draw 3, discard 2, unless you discard a creature card, I believe is the effect. Something stories, nighttime stories, I think it's what it's called, I forget. But that could replace this if you want, or go into the deck. I just don't have it, because this deck was put together a little after Aetherdrift, so I don't have any of the Tarkir cards in here, but that would be a very nice include here. Emissary's Insight. This is a pure draw. Initially, draw 2 cards, but if you jumpstart it, it becomes a discard 1, then it kind of gets a flashback. So you can cast it from the graveyard if you discard a card as you cast it, so Discard 1, draw 2 later game, you know, at the very least, draw 2 at the start. Jumpstart is a very nice mechanic for this deck. On to the artifacts. I have a, if you know my page and channel's history, Jaloom Tome is something I just need to shove into every commander deck I can find. We found a home for Jaloom Tome. It's not bad. It's not great, but it's not bad. So for 3, you get this artifact. It may look a little funky because it's in a it's in a dumbass foil sleeve. I love this old art. But yeah, 2 tap, draw a card, then choose and discard a card. So it's a not unlimited effect, but it's a repeatable loot effect for 2. There are cards that do it for free, but those are rare, and I have a ton of Jaloom Tomes I need to find a home for, so here it is. Collector's Vault. It's Jaloom Tome, but better. For 2 instead of 3. And the same cost to loot. 2 tap, draw and discard a card, then create a treasure token. Here's what I'm saying. This is just better Jaloom Tome. But the fact that it's not Jaloom Tome means that I can have multiple types of Jaloom Tome in the deck. We also have Jaloom Tome on a robot, which is Shorikai Genesis Machine, the German copy of the card. I also gave it the funky shiny the shiny spotted, the perfect fit, which is funny. I love it. It's a, for 1 tap, draw 2, discard 1, and make a pilot token, which can usually just exist to block, but it's here. It's a freebie that can possibly crew the giant robot man. Plus we got our corresponding Dominic Toretto foil token to go along with it because I don't have a pilot token. That's there. Very good, very powerful. Pure draw, our only actual pure draw aside from maybe Chemister's Insight it's Quain, because I have one from Commander Legends back when we streamed it on the Good Trades Brigade. Quain is a 1/3 for Azorius mana, white blue, and tap. Each player may draw a card, and if they do, they gain 1 life. It's group hug. People usually find it sussy that I'm giving them a card. They ask why, and I'm just like, I need cards. I don't care if you get cards. I'm trying to do my own thing. Have a card, have a life. I just want more cards for me. So Quain lives in the deck very nicely. Quain is just great in general. Next category, value creatures. So Hashaton eternalizes creatures you discard, makes them a 4/4. I've playtested this enough times, I'd say, where these have worked for the most part. So we got Innistrad Common, Sanitarium Skeleton, very nice. It's a 1/2 for 1 black. That's very good stat-wise. It comes in untap, which is nice. Sanitarium Skeleton can return itself to your hand for 2 and a black. So I discard it, I eternalize it into a 4/4, and if I have mana to spare or next turn I return to my hand, find a way to discard it again, and have another 4/4. That's very, very good. Sanitarium Skeleton kind of slept on, not gonna lie. Here's one of the new cards from Aetherdrift. Lost Monarch of Ifnir. A flick 3. It's already a 4/4 for 4, that doesn't matter. So if you hardcast him or if you eternalize him, it's the same stats. But the nasty part here is it grants other zombies you control a flick 3, where a flick 3, it doesn't say because this is the extender border. A flick 3 is if you attack with that creature and it's blocked, the person blocking it immediately takes 3 damage. So are you gonna take the 4? Or are you gonna block, possibly chump, but take 3? Very, very lose-lose usually for whoever has to block you. It also has another effect where at the beginning of your second main phase, if a player was dealt combat damage by a zombie this turn, mill 3, you may return a creature card from your graveyard to your hand. So there's another return from graveyard effect. Like I said, a lot of these overlap. Mainly, this is here for the Flick 3, which is powerful enough by itself. But having that option in your second main, usually somebody's gonna get smacked, so hopefully you don't mill something that you can't return. Wander, of course! Throw it in the graveyard, make it a 4/4. It has flying, it gives everything else you control flying, as long as you have an island. Me not having an island hasn't come up yet, luckily, but Wander, automatic include, very good. One of my favorites from Kaladesh, Angel of Invention. Flying Vigilance Lifelink. If you Eternalize it, it's a 4/4. If you hardcast it, it's a 2/1, but it has Fabricate too. So it can either enter as a 4/3 if you hardcast it, but if you Eternalize it and Fabricate 2, instead of making the servos, you instead put 2 counters on it, it becomes a 6/6 Flying Vigilance Lifelink, and it anthems your other creatures for +1. That's kind of insane. So all your other zombies become 5/5s. Then you have a 6/6 beater. If you can loop this, they pump each other. That's nuts. Angel of Invention. Very good, very cheap, very good. And we talked about Temet Noctamon's Will earlier. Automatic include. It's easier to Eternalize him than pay the 5. He does have Vigilance Menace, which is nice. And the +1/+1 counts for the first card you draw each turn on your draw step as well, because it's whenever you draw a card, regardless of how. You control get +1/+1 at the end of the turn. Plus, he has an inherent loot effect on its own. Whenever you attack, it doesn't need to be with Temet, so you can Eternalize him. The token enters tapped. You attack with something else, like say an Angel of Invention zombie. Then you get to loot, plus all the zomboids get +1. Matic include. This dude is also kind of dirt cheap, foil or not. So there you go. On to the fun stuff. We got the blue Power Coin Dinosaur. I wish I could get the Secret Lair Power Coin, but that's expensive. Nezahal, the Primal Tide. It's Mystic Remora as a 7/7. So it can't be countered, which kinda doesn't matter because you're not casting it anyway. Usually, because it's a hefty 7, but you know. A 4/4 for 3 with this? Not bad. If you Eternalize it, whenever your opponent casts a non-creature spell, draw a card. There's your Mystic Remora effect. It has a discard effect for free on its own. Discard 3 cards, exile Nezahal, then bring it, return it tapped at the beginning of the next end step. Obviously, if you do this for the token doesn't come back, it disappears, but still having an instant speed discard 3 could be a game changer, and plus, you can never have enough draw effects. We're on to our removal control suite for creatures. We got a few. I will separate them. I'd say Larcenist, 2/3 for 2. 2/3 for 3, sorry. So if you Eternalize this, Flying Ward 1, that's very good. When Kaitse Larcenist enters the battlefield, for each player, choose up to one other target, artifact, or creature that player controls. For as long as Kaitse Larcenist remains on the battlefield, the chosen permanents become treasure artifacts with tap, sacrifice this artifact to create 1 mana of any color, and lose all other abilities. So you can turn off problematic mana rocks, artifacts, creatures, and more importantly, commanders, turn them into do-nothing treasures. I mean, they can sack to tap for mana, but if they sack their commander, that's an additional 2 for commander attacks. That's very good. Kaitse Larcenist is annoying. Very good. One of my favorite cards from Ixalan. And it's also a pirate, so that's very near and dear to my heart. This one could probably be replaced for something else, but I just have it. Plus, it's a promo foil from Ravnica Legion, so I just wanted an excuse to use it. Deputy of Detention. When it enters, exile target non-land permanent an opponent controls and all other non-land permanents that player controls with the same name. So it's a prison detention effect on a creature, which is important for Hashaton. If they're running a token strat where all the tokens have the same name, they're all gone. So Deputy of Detention, surprisingly decent. At the very least, you're getting rid of one thing. It's a temporary prison effect, but still, that might be enough to hinder someone's game plan. Deputy of Detention, still a very nice card. Obviously, Meteor Golem. Destroy target non-land permanent when it enters. Easy peasy. The 7 doesn't really matter. You cheat it in for 3. It's a 4/4. Removes a problem. Meteor Golem. This one's interesting. Angel of Ruins. A 5/7 for 7. Flying. But when it enters the battlefield, exile up to 2 target artifacts and or enchantments. As long as... Well, it says up to, so if there's no other legal target, you don't have to exile your own things. But you can exile problematic artifacts or enchantments your opponents control. Plus, it also has an inherent cycle of its own with plane cycling. So you discard this, but instead of drawing a card, you look for a planes card. Doesn't have to be basic. So this can mana fix you, and if you Hashaton it out, act as double removal. That's very good. Very, very good. Plus flying, evasion. On to the fun stuff. These are the fun cards that I just want to cheat out into play with Hashaton. One of them being Fleet Swallower. So Fleet Swallower is usually a 6/6 for 7 mana, double blue. That's a lot, but for Hashaton, that's a 4/4 for 3. I don't care. Because the important part is whenever Fleet Swallower attacks, target player mills half of their deck rounded up. It... Even when I'm playing against friends and they are so mad at me milling half their deck, I am the happiest person in the world because like I just flushed your deck into the endless toilet. It's so fun, it's so stupid. Plus, since it's rounded up, you can technically win if, say, they have 1 card left in their library. You have to round it up. Oh my god. That's silly, but Fleet Swallower is... I love that card. Drogskull Reaver from Foundations. It's just a big boy with a lot of keywords. Flying, double strike, lifelink. And whenever you gain life, draw a card. There you go. More card draw overlaps. Lifelink, very nice. This deck, I wish, could use more. But yeah, this is just a big beatdown, beat stick. Flying double strike. If it's Eternalize, it hits for 8. Flying, usually no one blocks that. And at the very least, you're gonna gain 8 life. That's kind of nuts. And then draw a card. That's... oh, so many fun things. Another big dumb dinosaur. We got to the top of the Primal Dawn, one of our favorite win cons in Casual Commander. Flying, double strike, vigilance, trample, indestructible. It's a 4/4 indestructible with all this dumb nonsense if you cheat it out. An indestructible token is a problem that needs to be dealt with. The Talpa, very fun. On to some dumb steely boys. We got Mind Flayer. So dominate monster. When Mind Flayer enters the battlefield, gain control of target creature. As long as you control Mind Flayer. Enters as a 4/4, you steal a man. Steal a commander until it leaves the battlefield. It'll probably stick around for at least 1 turn rotation and become a problem for someone else. Agent of Treachery. This one straight up steals a thing. When it enters, gain control of target permanent. That's it. Steal a land, steal a mana rock, steal a commander. They can't get it back unless it's destroyed or bounced. And at the beginning of your end step, if you control 3 or more permanents you don't control, draw 3 cards. That doesn't matter. If it does, that's a really good bonus. You're winning more. But having a 4/4 that steals a dude, that is absolutely insane. Next category, this one's a little funky because it is Zur the Enchanter. So, along with my loot, artifacts, and spells and creatures, we have a few value enchantments. This is from another category, but I have 5 enchantments. Zur can get 4 of them. So Zur the Enchanter says, flying, when Zur the Enchanter attacks, you may search your library for an enchantment card with mana value 3 or less, put that onto the battlefield and shuffle the deck. So we got Tortured Existence, Oversold Cemetery, Compulsion, Intangible Virtue, all of which are below 3 mana value, below 3 converted mana cost. Yeah, Zur will tutor out something that you need. Speaking of something, let's get to that first since you've all seen it. We do have Tortured Existence here, and I do have Peregrine Drake. This was a rare that I've wanted for a long time. I got this a few years back when it was cheap before the price spike, and I had no idea it could go infinite with this. So Tortured Existence plus Peregrine Drake. The effect is Peregrine Drake enters on top to 5 lands. So like say the idea is you have Zur in the graveyard, right? You pay 1 black with Tortured Existence, swap him in to the graveyard, and return the creature card from your graveyard to hand. Pay the 3, so that's 4 mana spent. The Peregrine Drake token will enter, tap, untap 5 lands, boom. And you'll have enough to do the swap. Don't pay the cost for Hashaton, and then pay black for Tortured Existence again. Do that swap 1 more time, pay 3, make another token copy, untap 5 lands, then do that loop over and over and over again. So you'll have infinite tap zombies to attack for your next turn. If you happen to have lands that tap for more than 1 mana, you could be positive with mana with the untap 5 lands. But usually 5 is enough to do the loop, and if you're not killed by the next turn rotation, you win the game. So let's get this out of the way as well. This is the infinite combo, right? But how do you win with that? If, say, somebody has a board wipe next turn, or you don't want it to do another turn rotation because the tokens are tapped, you can't block with them, and you might lose to something else. If you have Sir Conrad the Grim as another, either you hardcast him or you Eternalize him with Hashaton, you do the loop with Tortured Existence and Peregrine Drake, you're just pinging everyone with Sir Conrad and win the game that way. There you go, double thumbs up for me. Infinite combos, let's go. It's a bit of a setup. Of course, I have no way to tutor out for this. We're just gonna have to, honest to goodness, draw discard it. Conrad as well, he does also cost a hard 5 if you want to cast him normally. We do have one way to find this, if not draw discard, and that's with this guy. But he also needs to attack, so if Zur is destroyed before he gets a chance to attack, then, you know, it's not an immediate win. It requires setup. It also costs 5 mana for the loop. Plus, like, this needs to be in play beforehand, so 6 mana, you need a creature in your graveyard, so it's not an easy infinite. It is there, but it's a fun combo to do. At the very least, this is your return to, from graveyard effect to your hand, just to do regular loops with your other value creatures. So that's very cool. Like I said earlier, with Zur, he tutors out 4 enchantments. So we've covered Tortured Existence, Oversold Cemetery. At the beginning of your upkeep, if you have 4 or more creature cards in your graveyard, you may return one of them to your hand. So that's just good recycling if you happen to not have a way to return them to your hand normally. This is just insurance. Compulsion. This is a loot effect for 1 blue and 1 blue. Discard a card, draw a card. So it's a Jaloom Tome. but better. It does require blue mana though, so that might be an issue. At Fringe emergency case, you can sacrifice the enchantment to just straight up draw a card. Intangible Virtue, this is just a win more, make your tokens bigger, give them vigilance, which you kinda need sometimes, because you need ways to protect yourself. Block. This is tutorable by Zur. Easy include. The only thing Zur cannot tutor, and it's here primarily because I like it, and it's one of the new cards from Aetherdrift. On the wings of gold, creatures that are zombies you control and or tokens get +1/+1 and flying. So that's just there. It's like an additional Wander plus an Anthem. It costs 4, which is a lot, but whenever 1 or more cards leave your graveyard, doesn't matter what card, you create a 1/1 zombie token. So this is fun. Very nice, unassuming win con, kinda-ish. And our last regular return from graveyard effect is Macabre Waltz for 2. Return up to 2 target creature cards from your graveyard, then discard a card. So you can return 2 cards, say these 2, and then as this effect resolves, you can discard one of the 2 that you returned, and then Hashaton it out for 3 mana. There's some fun stuff you can do. They're very nice return effect. Obviously, we need removal. Can't play games of Magic without having to deal with our opponent's problems. So, honest to goodness, Swords to Plowshares, exile a thing, gain life, whatever. Doesn't matter. Remove the problem. Stroke of Midnight, this could be replaced by Generous Gift. I just don't have a copy of Generous Gift to spare, so Stroke of Midnight it is. Destroy target non-land permanent. Its controller gets a 1/1. The token is smaller, and usually you destroy non-land permanents anyway. It's just that if somebody has a problematic land, it's not an option. But yeah, I said if you have Generous Gift, that could easily replace this slot. Or if you want, Get Lost used to be in this slot because it costs less mana. But that only targets, I think, creatures and enchantments. So having the option to target a non-land is nicer. Another fun one that I just have from C14, Ablation. Owner of target non-land permanent shuffles it into his or her library and draws 2 cards. It's kind of like Chaos Warp, but without the consequence of possibly getting a bigger problem on the battlefield. The draw 2 could hurt you, but at the very least, that immediate problem is gone. I also just have this benched in a binder for years, so it has a home here now. We're on to the targeted, but at the same time possibly mass disruption. So Heliod's Intervention. Choose one. Destroy X target artifacts and or enchantments. So it's X white white. So if you need to destroy one thing, just pay 1 mana in addition to the double white. But you can destroy multiple targets if you pay a bigger value of X. Or gain twice X life, which I said Hashaton has a problem where you don't really have a lot of blockers early on because you're digging for creatures to discard, you're digging for your loot effects, you're digging for your discard effects, plus you need the mana to Eternalize them, and they enter tapped, so having the ability to just pump yourself up just a little bit to survive long enough to get your game plan going is a nice option. Time Wipe, very nice. Board Wipe, return a creature you control to your hand, destroy everything else. If you don't want to pay the commander cost or something else. I once saved, where is it? From a board wipe because I had no other draw engine for a full 14 turns or something stupid like that. I bounced this just so I can have an honest loot effect and then just recast Hashaton for 4. But yeah, Time Wipe is a very good board wipe. River's Rebuke. This could obviously be a Cyclonic Rift. If you have it, I do not. So River's Rebuke it is. Bounce all the non-land things of one person. That's usually that's still very good, you know? Very, very good. Fumigate! Destroy all creatures, gain 1 life for each creature destroyed this way. Like I said, we need some amount of life gain. Plus, this got reprinted in Foundation, so it's accessible. And we're on to our counter magic. I only have 3, because usually I find myself not having enough mana to hold up for counter magic unless it's really, really late game. So we got a few cheap ones, or at least some modal ones. So Honest to Goodness Counterspell, because it's Counterspell. I gave it the thing. There you go, Jace doing his Jace thing, countering spells. Obscure Charm, because it's an Esper colors. This is fun, because it's modal. And it's also it's got that really nice, like, is it raised foil? But these gold parts are separate. So they're raised, the boss, whatever. Much like other foils, like say from Pokemon and whatnot, very pretty. Plus the card itself is foil, so that's a bonus. But yeah, choose one, return target multicolored permanent with mana value 3 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield tap. So it's reanimation for not a lot of things, but say for Homebound Lich or that other one, the flying one. It's there, right? The more important part is counter target instant or sorcery. So that's most board wipes. Most sweepers are sorceries usually. And return target creature or planeswalker with mana value 3 or less. Oh, destroy target creature or planeswalker, mana value 3 or less. So it's a reanimate for a small thing, a counterspell for instant or sorts, and a destroy for small things. Very nice card. Very, very modular, very utilitarian. And we have a nice fun split card just because I have it. A Hefty 4. Counter target non-creature spell, so instant sorceries, enchantments, artifacts. Usually a board wipe is what you're aiming for. And it's also a destroy spell for 4. Granted, it only hits non-black creatures, but I mean, they're both fine. It's just that the 4 mana kind of hurts. This could obviously be replaced by something else if you have. It's just that I don't, so I'm running these cards. Alright. Onto our protection suite. We don't have a lot, but we do have a few. One of them is a creature. It's Pippin from Lord of the Rings, Guard of the Citadel, Vigilance Ward 1. So, obviously you can just have him be a beat stick because he has Vigilance, that's very fun. But also, you can tap Pippin, and another target creature you control gains protection from a card type, not just a color, a card type. That's kinda nuts. At the very least, he costs 2. He costs the same as Quain. And it's a 2/2. That's not bad. Very nice. I just saw this in my box because I got it from the bundle. And I'm like, oh, that could work. There you go. Normal. I was about to say normal cards, but here we go. As with the plating, I also gave it that sparkly dotted perfect fit. Amass 1, sure. But the important part here is you and permanents you control gain hexproof. So removal or anything that you don't like looking at your stuff, you don't want crimes to be committed on your stuff or yourself. As with the plating, 2 mana. This is very nice. Also, it's an Eternalize zombie blocking something with its armor. That's very thematic for the deck. What is this? Oh my god, a bootleg Magic the Gathering card that's actually official. Oh my goodness, what's this? It's a MDFC from Zendikar. Here's the real one. Tajiri's Shelter. Target creature you control gains protection from a color until end of turn. Or it becomes a land. So my land count is 36, but if you add this MDFC, it becomes 37. So this was the slot that I had a hard time filling out, and I dug up the perfect card for it. So there you go. Protection Suite, only 3, but I think that's usually enough. You can count the counterspells, I guess, as protection of some sort. So 6. Again, there's that overlap that I was talking about. Plus, these 2 count as removal suites, destroy effects, whatever. So there's overlap even more. Alright, we're nearing the end of the deck lists. We are at the mana rocks and more value creature thingies. Let's put these out of the way first. Mana rocks, very simple. Soul Ring, Arcane Signet, the Esper Signets, Dimir, Orzhov, Azorius. I got that mixed up. Orzhov, Azorius, there you go. Just gonna brag, but my Dimir and Azorius are in foil, which makes them stronger, right? Foil cards make your deck stronger, I swear. I'm a firm believer of that. Even if you can't read them because they're hella dark. But yeah, basic stuff. Basic stuff. The ramp here is nice, but since you're cheating out things for 3 mana, for the most part, it's okay. I can live... I usually actually don't draw these cards, so... I play most of my games without drawing them, though they are very strong. I guess this counts for a real ramp, but we do have Sad Robot, Solemn Simulacrum. When it enters, search for a basic land, put that onto the battlefield tap. So obviously if you cheat this out because it costs 4, or if you hardcast it, that's perfectly fine. You get a land, that's ramp. When it dies, draw a card, so there's that additional bonus. So this coming down as a 4/4 is very annoying for most people. And they tend to not want to kill it because of the draw, but you're getting value regardless whether you hardcast it or not. These 2 are my color fixing boys. They are very bad, but if you reanimate them as a 4/4, you eternalize these things, they become very annoying. So these have the same effect, except that one of them is flying, one of them is not, and they cost the same mana cost of 3. But if you cheat them out for 3 with Hashaton, they're huge. But their effects are, when they enter the battlefield, search your library for a basic land card, put it into your hand. That's it. Color fixing. Missing white? Put this out. Hardcast it, eternalize it, whatever. Missing more blue? Do the same. You can loop it. At the very least, they're very big 4/4s. So, very good. They found a home in this deck. Lands. We got 16 non-basics. Let's get these over with first. So, you've seen most of them. Here's the multicolored ones. Command Tower, of course. Dromar's Cavern, so it's a bounce land. It does enter untapped, which is nice. So it's not like those... what's that? The other taps for any color, but enters tapped and you have to pay 1. This is kind of like that, except it's a bounce, but it taps for the Esper colors, which is important. Contaminate the landscape. It either taps for colorless or you sacrifice it to Evolving Wilds. Obscure Front, it's Evolving Wilds, but you gain a life. Evolving Wilds, it's Evolving Wilds, but it's Evolving Wilds. There's your multicolor equivalents-ish. Utility lands, Haunted Fengraf. Taps for colorless, but it can return a creature card at random, which is annoying, from your graveyard to your hand. But still, return from graveyard effects, again, overlap with your mana base. My only land that taps for more than 1 mana. Temple of the False Gods. So if you have this along with your Peregrine Drake, you're positive by a mana, and usually, depending on the other lands you tap with it, it could be colored mana, or at the very least colorless. But yeah, this is good. I don't have room for the other Ravnica bounce lands, because I find those a little too slow for this, but you could definitely add more if you want. I have my common life gain tap lands. This could obviously be swapped out with any of the budget, well, not budget, any of the cheap rare dual lands nowadays. I just don't have them, so these are here. Plus these are Foundation reprints, they were in the box. Why not? Why not? The life gain, sure. And speaking of budget, again, Esper Guild Gates, all of them, all 3 of them. Enderstap, sure, this could also be replaced by any cheap rare dual land cycle that you have access to. And the only one I have access to right now is the Temple cycle, because these were in the Foundation starter collection. Plus I just have a ton of these from Standard a few years ago. Scry could fix your top deck if you're looting or, you know, doing the whatnots. My only expensive dual land, because I pulled this from a gacha machine for $1. This thing is like 20 to 30 now. You could replace this with something else. This is probably driving the price of the deck way higher than it should be. Shadowy Backstreet, it's Surveil. Load your yard or get rid of a card on top. Super Surveil, Super Scry. But again, this could be replaced by anything. It's here for the colors, because this is primarily, not primarily, it's a lot of white. Speaking of, here's the basic land. So we have 9 planes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh wait, sorry? My mistake, my notes are wrong. 6 planes. I put it down as 9 for whatever reason. 6 planes. So I needed more white, that's why this is here. We got 7 islands. Islands are very important. The blue is very important. You could probably bring this up to 8 and reduce a swamp, but it's 7 islands and 7 swamps. I found that to be a good enough balance. But like I said, you can up this to 8 islands and bring this down to 6. I'd say the plains are just enough. 36 lands, and if you include the Jiri Shelter MDFC, that's 37 total. With 5 mana rocks, which might be too low, but again, Hashaton himself only costs 2, so he'll usually stick around long enough to get value. I guess the most I've cast him for was 8, but that was a ridiculously long game, so even at 4 or 6, I find myself comfortable enough to recast him 3 times. And that's it, that is the deck. That is the Hashaton Commander deck. I do have the full deck list on Moxfield if you'd like to check that out. And please, I recommend you open the tags and group them into types and tags for the categories I put them in. So, oh right, there was one small category I didn't cover, which is here, the deck All-Stars. Tortured Existence we've covered because it goes infinite with Peregrine Drake, plus it's just really ridiculously good utility for the draw, for the discard creature in particular, and then looping them back and forth to make more tokens out of them. Shorikai, of course, the threat of him being an 8/8, which you probably won't even do, is nice. He's a big robot that speaks very near and dear to my heart. I love me the Gundams, man. Plus the draw 2 for 1 mana, so it's Super Jaloom Tome as a Gundam. That's perfect. It makes a token that can block for you for the most part, or crew this. But the draw 2, discard 1, that is absolutely insane for 1 mana. This tends to like go out of control as a loot and draw engine. And speaking of, this card is probably the strongest card in the entire deck, because sure, it has a draw effect on its own. You can sort of guarantee that by discarding a card, which will fuel Hashaton, you know? Discard a thing, make a token, make him unblockable, he taps and attacks, untap him, pay 2, draw a card, and whenever an opponent casts a spell from anywhere other than their hand, draw a card. So commanders will refund you a card if you make the token, and then untap the token at the beginning of your next turn. Immediately you may pay the 2 and draw a card. So any game where I have Ghostly Pilfer in my opening hand usually leads me to either a win or a very strong game. So I deem these 3 as the deck all-stars, with Ghostly Pilfer probably being the actual top of the 3. That is it. Please go over the deck list on Moxfield. I will put the link in the description. The deck price, Card Kingdom, it's 152 bucks, 153, 152.44. But if you buy them on TCG Player, the lowest price you can get for them is 98.50. Sans Shadowy Backstreet, because this thing is crazy. It's $20 to $30. So you can reduce that to 60 bucks, 70 bucks ish. My deck falls within the local Commander deck $100 challenges that they have at our local game stores here. So that's fun. I can bring this to one of those events and play without worrying about it being overcosted. It is not a bracket 3 because there's no game changers. I'd say it's a very honest bracket 2 because the fringe case where you don't have any loot effects, Hashaton does nothing. Like, it rarely happens, but when it does, he does absolutely nothing. So the setup is also really obvious, that you need to have discard effects, loot effects, creatures to discard, and the mana to pay for them. When he does do his thing, like I said, you're technically open for a turn rotation because most of your 4/4s are tapped. And if you're trying to be proactive and swinging for damage with your existing 4/4s, again, they will be tapped, so you can't really block. Hashaton can only block for so much as a 1/3, and usually if you're fearful of them having tricks in combat, you know, like maybe, oh, he gets hit for 1 and he gets shocked for 2, whoa. the 4 cost for the second cast is a little painful. You know, not impossible, but painful enough, given my lack of ramp. But yeah, look at this with tags, without tags, I appreciate it. And if you enjoyed the video, please rate, comment, subscribe, do the thingies. That's pretty much it. I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.